Today we're going to install the undercover armor flex on this 2018 Ram 1500 with the 5.7 bed. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is install the bulkhead seal. Now I've already wiped down my bulkhead with some isopropyl alcohol. Next, I'm gonna take the seal out of the kit. I'm gonna peel away the tape protector and then just apply it to the top of the bulkhead. Now, placing this on the bulkhead is really important where you put it. What you want to do is you want to go as far to the inside of the bed as possible, all the way up against the bed cap, and just make good connection against the top of the bulkhead. As you peel it away, just place it on top. Go all the way to the other side. When you get to the other side, just make sure you have a pair of scissors. And cut it to length. All right, now everything I do with this rail on the passenger side, I'll do the exact same thing on the driver's side. So here I've got the passenger side rail. I've got a little rubber gasket that sits up on top of the rail here. I've got an arm, a prop rod arm, that sits to the inside of the bed, and I've got a little 90-degree flange where it actually hangs onto the bed cap. Up to the front, I've got a little downspout where water will drain out. I'm going to take this as it's hanging on top of the bed cap. I'm going to slide it all the way up until it actually contacts the bulkhead. Next, hold it in place. I'm going to find my first clamp location. Inside the track, you're going to see a little spacer in that track that says clamp. That's my first clamp location. This is what our clamp looks like when we're going to want to make sure that the notch of the clamp rests in the bottom cutout of the inside clamp. We're just going to basically install it like so. Once we have it held into place, go ahead and tighten it up by hand first. Get it where it's nice and snug by hand. Then take your 1/2 inch wrench or ratchet, and we're just going to kind of snug it up there again a little bit more. Now, before we go too far, we want to make sure this is seated down against the top of the bed cap, and then we can finish tightening up this clamp. Now, we want to get nice and snug, but don't worry about over tightening it. All right, now our second clamp location is about midway back on the truck bed. Again, there's a little spacer in the rail that says clamp on it. What we're going to need to do is pull our bracket or our prop rod out of the bracket. Again, just make sure that clamp is loosened up in the bottom notch. Spread it apart, set it in place, finger tight it first, and then tighten it down with the 1/2 inch. And again, as it's starting to snug up, just make sure it's seated against the top of the bed cap. Then when you put the prop rod back into place, sometimes you have to bend out this bracket to where it fits in nicely. And again, the very last clamp location, you are going to have a spacer inside there. It says clamp. Take your clamp, make sure it's spaced all the way apart. Again, in the bottom notch, rock it into place, get it behind the bed cap, and first finger tighten to where it's kind of snug. Make sure it's seated all the way down on the bed cap, and then tighten it up. Again, don't over tighten it, just get it good and snug. Now we got a few different locations where we could fish this drain tube. I'm just going to take the top location, run a drain tube through that one. Once it's all the way through, we'll fit it to the bottom of the drain cup. All right, next what we're going to do is set the cover onto the rails. Set it in place for right now. The clips should be facing towards the cab of the truck. Now we're going to rotate this cover back, the head panel, or pull off the protectors. Then we're going to focus on this channel right here. Now these are the clamps for our rails to hold the cover to the rails of the truck. We're just going to loosen up that clamp, push this carriage bolt down through it, And we're going to fish that into that channel. We're going to do that on both sides. Next, we're going to go ahead and rotate the front panel forward. Push the cover to where the front gasket goes over top of the bulkhead seal. And next we can go ahead and line up the cover towards the back. Just simply fold the cover one panel at a time towards the tailgate. As each panel clicks into place, make sure it's centered side to side and go to the next panel. Make sure that's centered side to side. Once that's done, and we check the alignment of the cover to the back, make sure everything's square, we can very gently fold the cover up towards the cab of the truck. And then we can reach underneath and attach our clamps. What we can do first, rotate the ball stud up, or rotate our prop rod up, snap it onto the ball stud. Do that on both sides. We're being very gentle here so that we don't shift the cover out of alignment. Now this is the driver's side clamp. The passenger side clamp is going to fasten the exact same way. If you notice, you got a little notch on the back side of that clamp that actually rides up inside the groove on the head rail. And you take and you slide the clamp over to the rail. Once it's slid over to the rail and lined up, you just tighten up the star knob. Just tighten up that star knob. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. All right, next we're going to test the operation of the cover. Once we fold it all the way back to the tailgate, we're going to gently raise the tailgate up to the cover. Now, something you're going to notice on some Ram models, it'll actually contact the cover. I'm actually kind of glad that it's doing that on this one, because now I can show you how to fix that. Now, a couple of different options that you have. First, fold the cover forward. Lock into position. We're just getting everything out of the way at this point. All right, now there's a couple of ways to do this. First, you want to loosen up the two rear clamps and get those out of the way. Now, once you've loosened those up, you can either just raise the rail about 1/8 of an inch and then tighten down both clamps. The seal is on the inside of the rail, not between the rail and the top flange of the rail and the bed cap. So if there's a little bit of a gap between the top rail and the bed cap, it's not a point of water intrusion. However, it does make a little bit of a gap there. And so if you want to fix that gap, just finish taking the clamp off and then get a piece of plastic or some type of a spacer. It's 1/8 of an inch thick. What you're going to do is you're going to raise up the bed cap itself, slide that shim up inside there, and then let the rail rest on top of that. Reinstall your clamps and then test the operation of the cover. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.